You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome, sir.
And my question is going to be short. I'm the one that had the machine, the total gym.
Yeah.
And so I've got some other equipment, and I had an inversion table. So that would, and I also have a roller. So when I was about 10 years ago, I invested in this type of equipment because I thought that this would be the way to go. And so I have a real simple question. In our, if I join you for the VIP, would you discourage me to use the equipment? Or would you say it could also be helpful? And that's just all I want to know. And because I know that the inversion table has helped me. I don't do it every day. I just do it once or twice a week, depending on what kind of time I had. So all I'm asking is, would you discourage it and say, you only listen to me, or, and to heck with this other stuff. So that's what.
Well, first of all, I'm a pretty open-minded individual in terms of what I look at as a possible good thing for us to do, right? And then I'm really, really careful and very strict, and I filter a lot on what I then tell others they should do. So I have a very open mind to what can work, but I'm very careful about then what I let out to the public in terms of what I think is great and works. So really, it's only when something's been proven to me over and over and over and over again to work, then I start teaching others that. So in terms of inversion table, I'll let you know, James, I have one myself. I haven't used it in a while, but I have used it in the past. And the inversion table can be a really great thing. You compress your discs and you lose some of the disc fluid over time. You start to lose some of the cushion between the bone disc bone interface. So it's a good idea. Some of the things, I have concerns sometimes depending on, there's certain high risk populations, such as anyone who has high blood pressure or has any vascular type of issues, because hanging upside down and letting all the blood rush to your head when you're not used to that, depending on age. And of course, we specialize in those around and over the age of 50. So I have a big concern depending on the individual's health. So I would say check with your physician because they know your health history and background, and then before you get on the inversion table. So that's my one big concern. Also, sometimes there's a lot of pressure placed on the ankle and the foot. I mean, you're hanging your whole body weight. So, I'm not sure, you don't have your video on, so I'm not sure, are you underweight, overweight? I don't know. But regardless, and my advice is for everybody in terms of inversion tables, which can be great for your back. It can put a lot of pressure on your foot, on your ankle, on your knee. And of course, you can actually hang upside down in improper alignment. So you're kind of pulling on the muscles in an improper position. So if you have good cardiovascular health, if you hang upside down in proper alignment, and if you feel comfortable with it, so maybe you don't go all the way upside down to start with, those are all going to be good factors. So no, I want to discourage you away from it, but I would look at all those things.
Yeah, the only reason I don't have a video is I explained once before, I got hacked about 3 times on Facebook and had to change the account. And then I still get 2 or 3 times a week, I get something from Facebook, and it says your account has been hacked, and you need to fix it. Well, I got out, so I can't have an account. They just want me to come in and do this. So that's the only reason that I did that. But thank you for the help, and I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And my meeting is with you tomorrow, and so
fantastic.
So I'm all set.
Okay, well, tomorrow come with your video though. And when we get into really small groups, then we definitely use video.
Tomorrow, Friday.
Oh, Friday. I'll see you on Friday. I guess Patricia says your meeting with me is on Friday.
Oh, okay. I got a confirmation it was tomorrow, but
Okay, forget about it. I am having a stupid moment here. I thought we were talking about the full body fix. It is tomorrow, James. I'm
thank you very
gone.
much. Goodbye.
Yeah, it is tomorrow then. Hello. T or Ty. Please help me pronounce your name correctly.
It's Ty.
Ty,
And
Ty.
thank you, Robbie. Thank you, Patricia. And a little information for James. If you have glaucoma like me, don't use that inversion table. Not good. Anyway, Robbie, I don't know if you're from the computer era when we were using floppy disks. Do you remember those?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Doctor
I'm old enough
once
to
told me
remember
that.
that.
Yeah, doctor told me that I have a couple of those in my back. Now, these exercises, a couple of them didn't quite work for me, but would they help for that? I know you don't repair floppy disks, but any of these exercises help.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, any degeneration and or slip disc or protrusion of the disc or stenosis or spondylolisthesis, all of these things come from a normal, it can be part of a normal wear and tear of having a human body, but it definitely is affected from alignment, and it's affected heavily based on your alignment. So, when you improve your alignment, when you really optimize it, when you have the proper mobility ratios, when one hip tissues aren't pulling one way and twisting the pelvis and then creating more shear stress in the spine, when the pelvis is neutral, when the upper back is aligned, which then lets the lower back be aligned. When you have all these things in place, you have much less stress on your body, and you have much more efficient stress on the muscles in the areas that it needs to be, so that your body is highly functional. So it makes a gigantic difference. And yeah, that's why we focus on it so much. So yes, absolutely, will help with disc problems. Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hello, Bob. Welcome.
I say I call you Robbie, the fitness aficionado.
Yes, thank you.
Say I'm 83 years old, and when you get to be this age, you certainly start to have issues. But 45 years ago, I was paintballing with a whole bunch of guys. I dove in a ditch with my face down, pop, 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 3 discs. Over the years, when I had a little tweak in my back, I went to an orthopedic surgeon. He took an x-ray and he said, who operated on your back? And I said, well, nobody has. He said, I didn't think so, because there's no scar tissue there. Yet L3, 4, and 5 are fused together like no physician, he said, on this earth could do. So the guy upstairs worked at it. So my question is for you, based on, I have other spare parts now, but the one in the back has to do with those things being welded together. Very beautiful job. No one could do it on earth like that. Will that affect, I could do most of what you did today without any problem. But is there things I should be doing differently because of that? Because there's no pain at all. I have 0 pain in my back right now. That's my question for you.
So your discs are fused together, you said?
Well, yeah, the vertebrae L3, L4, L5, there is no discs. They're collapsed to 0.
Yeah.
But the curve is still there. I don't know, the guy upstairs did a good job.
Well, especially with that being considered. Yeah, having your pelvis in a neutral position and training proper lumbar mechanics and all of these things will help you a lot. And the big thing you want to stay away from, and we mostly want to stay away from anyway, is and we don't get too much into this specifically because it's foundational and also more advanced spectrum that should come next in your education of aligning your body. But that is rotation. So rotation of the spine. So your spine should have good mobility as well. But as we talk about in the full body fix, the hips should really have the most mobility, and the spine should be stable, right? But in the thoracic spine, so from about here, okay, in this section of your spine, you should have good mobility. It's about 3.5 degrees per bone disc bone interface, right? And you have 12 of them. Whereas in your lumbar spine, you have five discs, L1 through 5, and you have about 2.5 degrees, and maybe even a little less than that in terms of rotation in a bone disc bone interface. So 3.5 per 12 in the thoracic spine, and 2.5 or less in the lumbar spine. And what's interesting is in the thoracic spine, within reason, the more good quality rotational ability we have in the thoracic spine, the higher the quality of movement, the capability of the individual, the less pain, stiffness, dysfunction. But in the lumbar spine, if you have significant rotation, it actually usually leads to pain, stiffness, dysfunction, more degeneration. So you don't want to really do a lot of rotation or really push your lumbar spine for rotation anyway. So the areas where you run into trouble is like a lot of rotational action and such in your lumbar spine. That could put a lot of additional force and load and stress on your lumbar spine. But in terms of pelvic alignment, hip, knee, foot, all these things, it's only going to support and help keep stress off of that area that's fused.
Thank you so much for that superb answer, right to the point. Thank you again.
You're very welcome. And Bob, if you're not signed up for It's All About You, I think you'd make a great VIP. I like your energy and your character very much.
Well, it's contagious, energy is a
Yes.
two-way street. And
Yes.
what I pick up from you, I've been an executive coach and management consultant 35 years. I've coached a lot of people. I can feel the energy, the wonderful, beautiful energy that comes from you. So it's a two-way street. Thanks for noticing that too.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Linda, hello. You're up next. Welcome. Hello. You're muted, I think. There we go. Now you're unmuted.
Am I unmuted now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you're aware, I'm on oxygen. And when I'm in the house, I'm on an oxygen concentrator. So it's not. Oh, am I not?
No, you're
Am I
good.
still unmuted?
Yeah, you got video and
Okay.
unmuted. You're all good.
It's just saying that I'm unmuted. So,
Yeah. No,
Okay.
everything's perfect with your video.
but when I go out, okay, for some reason I can't see your face. So there it is.
I'm not
Sorry.
sure why, but we have you spotlighted and me, and so I think we can all see you and hear you perfectly.
Okay. Anyway, so when I go out and do, I take my dogs for a walk, I'm active outside of the house. I have to have supplemental oxygen in order to do anything. And so I either am carrying an oxygen tank around, or I'm carrying a portable oxygen concentrator, both of which are probably weighing around, it's somewhere between 8 and 10 pounds. So I'm either having that hanging on my shoulder, or on, in a backpack on my back. So I'm constantly, in this hunched over position. And I've noticed over, the years, I'm getting more and more hunched. So, will I be able to straighten back up doing all these exercises? There's so,
Yeah.
I noticed that I feel
you could
better
use,
after doing
the oxygen.
exercises.
So you hold the tank and walk around with it? Is that what you're telling me?
I wear it as a backpack,
Okay.
so it's on my back. Unless I'm somewhere where I'm not very active.
So when it makes sense, I would suggest you don't just carry it on your back, because that's going to give you what's called excessive thoracolumbar extension, which basically means like this area of your upper back, right in here. like the weight is pulling you like this, so your back is going to arch excessively. It's going to between the upper back and the lower back, right when they meet, the thoracolumbar, so like thoracic and lumbar junction, it'll create hyperextension oftentimes when you carry things like backpack and such. So so what you want to do is first be really aware of keeping that pelvis neutral and using your glutes, so your butt muscles, to slightly contract, and your lower abdominals to help support that backpack. The other thing I would suggest you do is if you wear the backpack, especially maybe at home, sometimes on the front of you, and then also maintain really good alignment, and then use the thoracic extension that you'll especially learn in the next session, so the fourth session.
Okay.
If you're using all those and then alternating the tank from back to front and changing that positioning and then really keeping your body alignment, it'll end up being a strengthener instead of a weakener,
Okay.
if you will, okay? And become a mechanical deficit for you. It'll actually become a plus, but you got to use
Okay.
proper alignment and rotate
Right.
from back to front, make sure you're not excessively arching your back, and all of the things I just shared.
Okay. And then you also said it's best to lay on your back when you're sleeping, which I do, but is that with or without a pillow?
Well, ideally, so, and actually the research shows that the cervical, here's the detail, is the lumbar spine and overall the back is better off if you lay on your back when you sleep. But the side sleeping, so in supported side sleeping in research actually shows is better for the neck, but that's because they don't have a proper cervical pillow in the research sleeping on the back. So the best thing to do is to sleep on your back and use a proper cervical support, which could be something as a rolled up bath towel, right? Not too big. You don't want a big thing like creating a huge arch in your neck.
Right.
That's not good either. It's just a mild, moderate lordotic curve, right? Because the lower back should have a little bit of curve going towards the front, and then the upper back is natural to have a little bit of rounding like this. We have to be careful not to have too much. That's why I basically always work on making it straight, not
Right.
because straight is what you want, but because we're all going to be kind of plagued with going in this hunched over position as we age. And then the lordotic curve in the cervical spine, you want a little bit of that. So when you sleep, it's good to have just a little bit of support in the lord and to create that lordotic curvature in the cervical spine.
Okay.
But pelvis neutral, back flat, cervical spine gently supported.
Great. Thank you so much. I really
You're-
appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You're welcome. And Ronald, hello, sir. Welcome.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for asking.
Oh, no problem at all. The question that I had, what I've been dealing with lately, more recently, are you familiar with the oblique muscles in your back or around the side,
Yeah,
the oblique
Yeah.
muscles?
absolutely.
So can you explain how can you best, I've been feeling like pain and stiffness in my obliques. And the reason why I kind of know that is because I see a chiropractor and he did it kind of explain to me that's where your oblique muscles are. So how the oblique muscle system works and how can you address issues where, you know, you experience some discomfort, stiffness, pain, etc.
Yeah, good question. Do you have low back issues as well?
Yes, yeah,
Okay. So this goes back to, so the obliques are primarily a rotational muscle. Okay. One,
Right.
you have an external and internal oblique,
Right.
and one is going to bring you towards the side and one's going to pull you away from that
Right.
same side. Okay. So you want to be able to, I mean, it is good to have some rotation. So if you lay on your back and you do gentle rotations towards the side, not sit-ups, not
Right.
sit-ups, just a crunch and rotation, and you practice that motion and you're stabilizing in neutral position. And then eventually you can start going to like laying on a roller and doing
Right.
this moderate position and rotating, then you'll start to strengthen that area.
Right.
You want to focus a lot on your hips, because what will happen is oftentimes the next thing in the chain will make up for what the other thing should be doing. In other words, your hip's not rotating properly. So then it
Right.
starts asking the back and the oblique area to create more rotation to make up for what it's not doing, right? And really it's the hip that should be rotating. So you want to make sure that you have really good hip rotation. Go back to session 2, look at your internal, external hip rotation,
Right.
and, you know, a little bit of oblique exercise. And then the other thing that I'm going to say is very possible, if you're having low back pain, it's not just the oblique. You probably have a tight and restricted psoas muscle, which
Mhm.
runs from the pelvic area and then into the spine and actually attaches to the spine and pulls the spine forward. So, and it is very much, and that runs in the same area as your obliques.
Right.
So very likely it's your psoas as well, where you have restriction. Of course, I didn't do an assessment on you, so I can't say that for sure, but I'm
Right.
kind of giving you direction on very common things that occur. So if you lay on your back and you kind of just dig your fingers between your belly button
Mhm.
and like the top of where you feel your pelvis, if you just dig your fingers kind of inward and just hold that, you'll probably feel a little bit of slight burning and pain. Just lay on your back, hold
Right.
that position, and you're actually pushing straight down into the psoas, and just
Mhm.
try to relax and do that for like 30 to 40 seconds and do both sides. See if you get
Okay.
some release, because you may be just releasing and relaxing the
Right.
psoas there, which will help
Right.
that overall area of your body. So
Right.
1, work on psoas. 2, do some moderate light rotation, starting floor, progressing to roller, laying vertical, right? With the roller from like here to here.
Right.
And then, and look at your hip rotation. Focusing
Okay.
on those things is definitely going to send you in some positive direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, you know what I find is interesting is how it all somehow has some connection to your lower back. So
Yeah.
I guess it's
Oh
all
yeah.
connected. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it all
Oh
is
yeah.
connected some kind of way, you know. So
Well, yeah, the psoas will pull, it literally pulls on, it's attached to your spine. It's going to pull on your spine, like literally.
right.
It pulls on your spine. It's attached to your spine. So on the front side. So between that and then the hip not having proper
Right.
mobility will then lead to lower back having to do
Right.
more motion than it's supposed to. So then your
Yeah.
body feels unstable, and then it'll start bracing the obliques to try to create recruitment and stabilization, because other body parts aren't functioning the way it should. So your body feels unstable. And we go back to that same example that I like to give, and I give repeatedly, is if I give you a weight, you're not going to hold it out here. You're going to bring it close. You're going to
Right.
bring it in close, because your muscles do the same thing. If your muscle feels unstable, they're going to contract and go in short. So if
Right.
it feels like you're being asked to do motion that your hips should really do, it's going to
Right.
guard. It's going to guard and brace, because it's not supposed to be doing that level of
Right.
rotation to protect your
Okay.
spine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for the information. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Seeing a chiropractor, you think that's still helpful though? Seeing, still seeing, going to visit a chiropractor.
Yeah,
You think that-
chiropractor is great. There's been a lot of good quality improvement for a lot of people, especially in terms of low back from chiropractor.
Right.
Sometimes it's not right for everybody, but yeah, I think it's definitely a good
Okay.
route of care. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And Robbie, we're going to the last question of the day.
Okay.
Miss Marie Claude Nantel, she's not being able to raise her hand. So
Okay.
Miss Marie, it's your turn.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, Robbie.
Hello. Hi.
I have a question today. When we did the pelvis tilt and the pelvis the other way. Sorry, I'm mixing my vocabulary. Definitely, I have a big curve. So when it's this way, it's like very close to my real positions. And when I tuck it, it doesn't hurt. But when I try to put it neutral, I feel my muscles are very tight. So is it okay for me to just like stay in that position and breathe, just to make my muscle used to be this way, or I'm pushing too much? Because I'm injuring. I got injured very, very, very easily, so I don't want to push it. But is it okay to kind of feel a little stretch, or is it too much?
Yeah. But from what I understand, you have an excessive arch in your lower back, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So this means your pelvis, right, is tilted forward. If we think about it
Yeah.
like a bucket,
Yeah.
it's it's tilting towards your
Yeah.
face direction.
Yeah.
So the lower back muscles are used to functioning in a short position, and the same exact thing I just shared with Ronald would be the same for you as well. If it's not the causative factor, the psoas definitely has part of the causation. So you'd want to work on that exactly as I explained to Ronald. And then the muscles in your back are used to being function short. So when you ask them to go neutral pelvis, they're having to elongate.
Yeah.
So the last thing you want to do is try to do any type of high intensity or exertional exercise with this newfound neutral pelvic position. No, you want to do exactly what you just said, which was put the pelvis in a neutral position, practice the things like, which we're going to do in the next session, thoracic alignment breathing and aligning your spine, doing all of these things with the new, and then getting into light, very controlled exercise with that neutral position, because it's like untrained tissue. Because even if you're fit, even if you're used to doing some exercise, your muscles not used to doing exercise in that position.
Yeah.
So because of that, if you've been fit doing exercise before, great, it'll help you recover quicker. But this new position is like new training. It's like an untrained person. So when you start doing new physical activity, it's like an untrained person. So you want to step into it very slowly and let your adaptation happen first, and then build with exercise progressions from there. Yeah.
Which leads me to my other question: how many reps should I? Because the first day we talk about the rep for the exercises that about, like, I think it was mobility and strengthening. So those kind of exercise that we did today, how many times a week? Or because I'm used to do too much, so I just want to be careful.
Like the exercise where we did today, neutral pelvis, bend over, keep everything aligned.
Yeah.
You can do, I would suggest you do like 3 sets of 10 on each side and do that like 3 times a week. So that's a good starting point.
Okay.
And then in terms of squats, like 3 sets of 10 to 15. Again, you can do that a couple times a week. So then the kind of the fake stairs that we did and the lunge position, you can do all of those about 10 reps. 10 reps is a good place to start, see that you feel good, and then you can progress to like 15 and 20 reps. There's all kinds of advanced strength training strategies, but in terms of just keeping you safe and keeping it therapeutic, I'm going to give you the direction for now, unless I was working with you directly, that just go in the direction of like 15 and 20 reps and build up more volume instead of like more load or adding weights. It's going to be a better therapeutic effect for you.
And while you're talking about VIPs, when we work with you with VIPs, we're like a lot of people, or because I'm always getting injured. Like what we did today, I think I forced something, so my neck hurt. When we did the stretch the other day, my injured shoulder just hurt after that. So I'm like always. So can you see that when we do?
Yeah, as well as I see you right now, I see you're clasping your finger. I can see exactly what you're doing. That, as well as I see you doing this, we see you in your training. We teach you when you start with us exactly how you should have your video camera and stuff. And then when you're training, we're watching you, and my team is watching you, and they're masters and doctorate level experts. They watch you and they record you where you have misalignments, and then send you private messages to hey, Marie, this is where we see your head's misaligned, you're doing this and that, and oh wow, I didn't realize I was even doing, which is a very common response. And then you go motor control, realigning your body session by session. Yeah.
Okay. And my last question is for the stretch that we did on Monday. How many reps should we do per week? Because I would do that every day, but I know it's not ideal probably.
Which one? I'm sorry.
The stretch we did on Monday with the knee.
Yeah. There's good to hold for 30 to 60 seconds. You don't want to go past an intensity of a 5. A 4 is really kind of a sweet spot. So you think about 10 is excruciating pain. Never should we go there. It's like youth Chinese Olympics. So you don't want to do anything even close to that, right? That's a 10. A 1 is you don't really feel it. A 5 is a solid stretch, but there's no pain involved. So I'm
Okay.
going to suggest like 4 to 5 range and 30 to 60 seconds with the holding. Start with 30 and slowly progress to 60 seconds.
4 to 5. Oh, okay. And how many times per week? Is it every day? No, probably not at the beginning.
Yeah, it's a good idea to do like three times a week. And it really depends, like you want to focus on where you have deficiencies, right? So in terms of mobility, if your tissues are restricted, then you can focus more in that area. And then we have to see, is it restricted because of body alignment and mechanics and strength, or is it restricted because the actual tissue is short?
Yeah.
Right.
So, and we will be able to see why when I'm doing one exercise, I hurt my shoulder or I hurt my neck, or you're going to be able
Oh,
to
yeah.
see that into, okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what we do. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay, great. Thank
That's
you.
exactly what we do. You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And how do we pronounce your name in your language?
Marie-Claude.
Oh,
It's in
Very
French.
well.
pretty.
I'm French
Marie-Claude.
Canadian, actually.
That's all right.
Bye-bye.
Fantastic.
Very cool.
Right.
Beautiful
favorite-
name.
My favorite athlete is French Canadian,
Which one?
is George St. Pierre.
Oh yeah, you told me. Yeah. The
Yeah. Thank you for your questions. We're signing off for session 3. So awesome. You guys made an amazing decision to be here today for session 3. But if you want to make an even better decision, there's 2 things you could do. Actually, there's 3 things you could do to make even better decisions. And that is schedule. It's all about you. If you think it's right for you and you think that that could be a good fit in your life. Second, join us for the 4th session where you're going to learn even more about your thoracic spine, your upper back, your shoulders. And don't miss session 5. Session 5 is an amazing main event. It's a lot of fun. You meet some famous people and they share some really cool stories. It's very, very interesting. So, and we get into some exercise together. It's a lot of fun. Session 5 is quite amazing. And I have a gift for you in session 5. So make sure you show up to session 5. Make it an awesome rest of your day. And I have much love for each and every one of you. Make it a great evening or day, of depending on where you're at in the world. And we will see you very soon. See you on session 4.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank you.
Woohoo!
You're so very welcome.
Bye. We will leave the meeting open for about 10 minutes so you guys can catch up with the links. Bye.